Hello, my name is Greg Smith. I'm the National Sales Manager for Dig Corporation. Today we're going to do a drip irrigation product overview. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through these parts and pieces. We're actually going to build a setup using all these parts and pieces. I'll discuss and show you the benefits and features of each part. And when I'm done, this piece will be fully built. And when you build this in your product knowledge class, you'll be able to take this home and actually try it out and see how all the parts and pieces work. In every store, we have this free drip irrigation book that's available for the consumers and for the store associates to use. This has all the information that the customers need to build their system, how it's used, the different parts and pieces that are needed to do it. The layouts, has a variety of layouts in the book that show the different layouts that can be used. Now, one thing that's important to know is drip irrigation can be used to water any plant in your yard, but it's not good for turf or grass. It doesn't provide enough water fast enough to do turf or grass, but anything else in your yard can be effectively watered with drip irrigation. Also, this book, all of our parts and pieces that are arranged in your store by color and number, that's on purpose. So that's a merchandising system that allows the customer to easily find the parts and pieces in the store by taking this book home. So all of these parts and pieces have a home on the shelf by color and number, and it follows the same order that this book is in. So the customer can take this book home, find what they're looking for, and easily come back to the store and get what they need. So the first thing we're going to do is, with drip irrigation, you need a water source. For this application, what we're going to build today is coming off of a hose bib, which is where your garden hose connects in your yard. It's all hose thread. All drip irrigation, all of our products don't require clamps, glue, fittings. It's all hand tight. It either just snaps together or connects in with a compression fit. It's very simple to use. The only tools that you need is a hole punch like this and a scissor or knife to cut the tubing. So it's very simple. Drip irrigation is intended to be used above ground for simplicity to access the water to get to your plants. Most of the products are black in color. That is the UV inhibitor to prevent the sun from breaking down the plastic. So you need a water source. So we're going to start off with a hose bib. And at the hose bib, we recommend that you use a Y valve like this. This allows you to have a drip irrigation setup coming off your hose bib, and then you also have a hose running off the other side so you can still supplement water, wash your car, rinse your driveway, whatever, and the other side would be for the drip irrigation. So to hook this up, it's very simple. Drip irrigation is the slow output of water. All of this, like I said, runs in gallons per hour output, and all the pieces and products are designed to run at 25 pounds pressure. Household pressure normally is 45 to 75 pounds, which is way too high for all the products to work. So you need a pressure regulator. This is a pressure regulator. It's simple. It just screws right onto your faucet. And this reduces any incoming pressure down to 25 pounds. This screws onto your hose bib. And then what you do is you have an adapter. This is an adapter that then screws onto the hose bib. We will do that in a second. But also this has a filter inside. Since all the components for drip irrigation are small orifices, small diameter output, they can easily clog by sediment, sand, any debris that could be in your line. Municipal water isn't a problem, but there's a lot of places around the country and around the world that use lakes and river and ponds and wells that you could get sand, sediment, you can get other debris in your line, so you need some sort of filter. This adapter has a simple screen filter that is a 60 mesh stainless steel screen. This is adequate enough to filter the water, so it prevents any clogging down line. We recommend as an upgrade to use a filter like this. If you've got a large system or you may have contamination in your water or sand or whatever, we recommend a filter like this. And the advantage to this is, whereas this one was only 60 mesh, this is now 155 mesh, which is much finer, has a much larger surface capacity, and you can also spoon fertilizer into this, so every time you run your system, you're automatically fertilizing when you're watering. This goes at the very beginning of your system. to filter any of the water that comes through all the components. So that's an upgrade. So to get started with the assembly of these parts, this goes on your hose bib. This is the hose pressure regulator. This just screws on. It's just hand tight. All right. And this is your main supply line of tubing. This is a 700 OD dimension tubing. This is black poly tubing. This is 95 to 97% of what's used in the industry, both commercial, ag, and retail use. This is a nominal size of 1/2-inch poly tube. The one most important thing about a drip irrigation setup is the output capacity of this tube. This has a 220-gallon output capacity, and it's important to remember because as you're taking water out into your yard, you don't want to outspend that 220 because all the components will then be starved for water. So you want to have a little math involved to build your system. And as we get through some of the parts and pieces, I'll explain how that math works. So to connect this, it's very simple. Like I said, this is a compression fitting. This goes on the outside of this tubing. All you do is simply press this in and walk it on slowly. And to test to see if it's connected, if you can't pull it apart, that's connected. So now what you've got is a regulator, you got an adapter with a filter, and then you have this poly tubing that runs out into your yard and takes water to all your plants. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through a variety of emitters and drippers. And like I said, the only tool that's needed is a hole punch. So I'm going to punch a couple of holes into this tube. And these first couple of holes, we're going to insert a family of drippers called flag drippers. Has a little flag on the top. These are very economical. It has a sharp end that goes into the tube. These are also cleanable. So if they happen to clog, you can pull off this flag, rinse it out, and put it back together. These are, like I said, the most economical, usually bags of 25 or more. And all this does is snap into this hole. Now I have to start with this color coding. All of our products have a color code, which is the output of each of the components. This is black, which represents 1 gallon per hour output. This just snaps into this hole. The second flag dripper that I'm going to install has got a green flag on it. This is now 2 gallon per hour output. So with a 220 output capacity rule on this tubing, you could only use 110 of these, whereas the black one, you could use 220. So you kind of have to keep that in mind as you build your system. So all this does also is just snap into the line. Now this is assuming you may have a plant right next to your main line and the water just simply drips off into that plant. The next family of drippers are going to be button drippers. They look like this. They're in brown, black, and green. The brown represents 1/2 gallon per hour. The black represents a 1 gallon per hour, and green is 2 gallons per hour. And this, once again, just simply snaps into the tube. So you put your holes. Snap the drippers in. Now, once again, I mentioned the 220 capacity of this tubing. Now, this 1/2 gallon, you can use 440 of these on this line. So to maximize your capacity of this tubing, you use the lowest flow capacity that you can get away with and just run your system longer to get enough water to the plants. If you got new plants, you can use 1 dripper per plant. Larger, more established plants, you can use multiple drippers at each plant. But once again, you got to kind of add all this up. So these are the flag drippers. These are the button drippers. These button drippers can also be taken apart to clean. And the step up from the flag dripper is these have larger passages inside. This is a labyrinth flow water passage. This is what controls the water output. This is kind of like the water going down a river or a stream, and it's got rocks for rapids. It slows the water down. This labyrinth flow slows the water down through this fitting. So this regulates the output of the water. And if this happens to clog, you can take these apart and clean them as well. The last family of drippers I'm going to install are pressure compensating drippers. Pressure compensating drippers do exactly that. They self-regulate. They self-compensate for the pressure of the system. So wherever you are in your layout in your yard, these will self-regulate so the output is exactly as specified. Once again, the all black is a 1 gallon an hour, green is a 2 gallon per hour output, and now all of a sudden we have a red one, and this is a 4 gallon per hour. So this you have to be careful with when you use a bunch of these, because the 220 rule of the tube, you're only going to be able to use 55 of these, and soon you could run out of water. So this is really used, the reds are really used when you are doing supplemental watering with a regular irrigation system that runs a slow amount of time, and the drip requires a longer time. So once again, these just snap into these holes. And as you can hear, it's a firm snap. That's the seal, so no water leaks out the sides. So up to this point, we have fixed emitters or drippers, the flags, the buttons, and the pressure compensating. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a valve. And this valve would be used if you have a part of your yard that you want to regulate the flow or turn off the flow. For example, you may have this running out into your yard watering regular plants. You may want to have vegetables in part of your yard, and once you do a harvest, you may not want it to be watered all the time like your regular plants, so you can use these valves to shut those off. So what we're going to do now, we had fixed flow drippers, and now I'm going to insert a couple more that are slightly different from the fixed flow. These are now adjustable flow drippers, and the advantage to these are adjustable from 0 to 10 gallons an hour each. And these are very popular because folks don't know exactly what they need to use in their yard, and they think, wow, versatile. I can turn it off, I can turn it up. As the plants grow, I can add more water and so on and so forth. But at 10 gallons an hour output, you got to remember that you can't outspend the 220 that's in this main line, and only 22 of these is going to maximize that water. So you should, whenever you use these, and you should use these sparingly, you should use them and calculate them at the 10 gallon output. Now this particular adjustable dripper is on a stake, and what we're going to do is we're going to insert a piece of tubing that connects to the main line, and all you do is wiggle that on. And if you have any difficulty with putting this small line onto these fittings, a cigarette lighter right across the front softens the plastic and allows that to quickly go on. These adjustable drippers on a stake come with this connector. You just simply twist these off. It goes on the end of this tube and snaps into the hole. This happens to be one on a stake. These are popular for basins of plants, pots, roses, anywhere that you want to flood an area with an output of water. That adjustable dripper also comes as a button. Same situation to where it is adjustable up to 10 gallons output down to 0. You can clean these by taking them apart. It's simple as that. And all this does, once again, is just snap into this hole. Okay? So a quick review. We've got fixed flow drippers, adjustable flow drippers, and now you think, wow, I have a vegetable garden, or I have an area with a bunch of plants that I need to, it's not effective or not efficient to put a dripper at each plant. You want to use drip line, and we have drip line that have drippers built into the line that you can run around your plants, through your plants, or in rows. And how that's used is punch the hole into the main line. And for this installation, we're going to use these little valves. And this little valve is both a connector and a regulating valve. Like the blue valve, this can be adjusted for flow, and you can turn it on and off. So this I'll use as a connector to the main line. Okay. And this opposite end of this drip line, now this particular drip line is in 1/2 gallon per hour every 12 inches. And we make this in a 6-inch spacing, also a 9-inch spacing, and also in brown. So there are different parts of the country that like the brown, or vegetable gardens, people may like the brown tubing instead. but the output and the features of the product are the same. But if you don't plug up this opposite end, all the water is just going to shoot out this, and it's not going to have any back pressure in the system. So you have to plug up this opposite end with something here. And that's what this little plug is here. We call these goof plugs or line end plugs, and all that does is snap into the end of this, and now that is allowing this particular drip line to be pressurized and have the proper output. Okay, so we've done fixed flow drippers, adjustable drippers, a drip line, we've got the zone valve. Now you may have an area that you want to spray. Now a lot of plants don't like to get sprayed for fungus, for mold, mildew, and so forth. But you may have areas that you want to spray. We sell and make a variety of products to do that. And all you do is snap a hole into this line. And this particular micro sprayer is adjustable in output and also in radius. And this has a couple of features that is unique. You can raise this up to go high above into your yard. You can reverse these to spray down into baskets. And these are very versatile. So all this does is snap into your main line. Now in this installation, we're just going to snap it into the main line, but you may want to run the small tubing out from this out to your plant away from your main line as an artery. All right, so just like the 1/4 inch drip line, we also make a 1/2 inch drip line that has drippers built in every 18 inches. Now, whereas the rest of this product is black in color, this is brown in color because this is what the cities and municipalities around the United States have spec'd for their median strips in their roads, because they don't want this tubing laying on top of their median strips to see the black. They want it to blend in. So this is actually a professional agricultural item that we make that is brown in color for the looks. But this has got a dripper built in every 18 inches. And how this is connected is, now we will connect a 1/2 inch T, and this drip line will then connect into here and run off in an opposite direction. We make also elbows that you can go in different directions, but once again, if you don't plug up the end of this tube with a connector or a tubing closure, all the water is going to shoot out the end of this. So this particular fitting is also compression fitting that goes onto the end of this tube. You push it on. And also hot water. If you have a situation where it's cold outside and it's hot water will also help soften this tubing so it's easy to put these fittings on. This particular fitting has hose thread on the end that can be used to extend off into other directions if you want to, or if you want to drain your system in the wintertime or after harvest, you can just take this cap off and drain your system out. Okay. So that's how that particular product is used. Now to finish this setup, we're going to add another little section at the very end. Okay. Once again, if you can't pull it apart, it's connected. Now in this particular situation, whereas you have this cap on the end of this is a very simple end closure that's called a figure 8. It looks like an 8, and all this does is slip over the end, and you fold this back to kink it, and this tube holds it in place. So now you've got a complete setup, and this is about 75 to 80% of the products that are sold in your stores, the most popular items that are part of this setup. And this is a completely closed system. You hook this up to your faucet, you can actually see this work. Now that we've built a basic drip irrigation system, you understand the parts and pieces and how they're used. If you have any questions, it's easy to contact us. You can call 800-344-1172. They answer all kinds of questions for agricultural, commercial, and retail purposes. They can help you set the timers, or you can email us at questions@digcorp.com. Also, our website, digcorporation.com, has tons of information, videos, how to install this into your yard, how to set up the timers if you want to do that, all the different products that we have available. We have a variety of kits that are available that helps customers get started getting a system set up in their yard. And don't forget, water is precious to us. Water matters. Thank you for watching.